Morning internet and welcome back to the workshop. Well, we've had a run in, let me show you where we're up to. We've got airbox, carbies, we've got cables, switches, yeah, looking good. But it isn't. It's rubbish. It runs pants. It's not right. It's idle circuit's not right. It's not idling properly. So today's job, carbies are coming off and we're going to see what we can see. So without further ado, back in a bit. Okay, we've taken that front piece off there so that I can gain access to, well, more easily to the cables and to the fuel pipe. Okay, top tip for you, bit of plastic hose. Okay, drain the carburetors before you take them off. You drain the carbs. When you take the carbs off and you tip them upside down, you're not going to have petrol everywhere. Okay. So you connect your bit of plastic pipe to the bottom of the float bowl. Okay, you've got your piece of plastic pipe on the bottom of your carburettor. You've got a long reach Allen key in there, and when you unscrew that bolt on the bottom of the float bowl, petrol comes running out. Into a suitable receptacle, or jam jar, whatever. You can use that for cleaning, or you could use it for washing oily nuts and bolts. But now that float bowl's empty, we'll move on to the next one, and so on and so on. So when we take the carbs out, and we tip them up, obviously, petrol doesn't go all over the place. Right, moving on. That'll do for cleaning nuts and bolts up and oily bits. Right, float bowls are now drained, so next task, I guess, is to deal with the throttle cables. Well, my experience of throttle cables is you can't undo them from that end, you've got to loosen them from this end. So we need to take that off the handlebars. Right, that's that loosened off. That's that loosened off. How on earth do I go into them screws? That is the question. What a nightmare. Right. Can't get in. Right, we'll have to take the coils off. vacuum hose. Right. Okay, so we've loosened the clamps. The 4 clamps that hold the carburettors into the rubbers. The cables have loosened from the handlebar end. The water pipes for the water heater in the anti-icing system is removed. Unlatched the idle screw. Drained them all of fuel, so we should be good to go. We should just be able to give it a wiggle, and there we are, we're out. Okay, so now we've got access to those cables, we can unhook them. There's one. There's the other. Just makes it so much easier when you get access to the where the cables go. Right, that's it then. Carbs off. We'll whip the float balls off and see you in a bit. Okay, as you can see, we've got the carbs in bits. Now then, I've gone through all the jets. I've gone through pilot jet, main jet. I've gone through all the drillings. I've gone through the air intakes to the jets there. We've gone through the little 3, if you remember from the other video, these carbies have, when I get it in shot, can't see it very well, it's not very good that, is it? They have 3 little holes at the bottom of that drilling there. You can see that, them actually 4 little holes there. Now those little holes, if they get blocked up, can cause problems, but these aren't blocked up, they're clear. So we moved on to the next thing, which was the pilot jets. Okay, pilot jets. Now I found one was slightly blocked. You could still see through it, but it did have some gunge in it. So what I've done, and I'll show you in a minute, I've cleaned them out, and hopefully this is going to solve the problem. The only thing I haven't checked, obviously, and I can't do that until we've got the carbies back together, is the height of the float. Checking the valve, making sure the float's at the right height and it's not sticking. So without further ado, I am going to, should I say, put these carbies back together. I'm going to quickly show you the inside of one of these pilot jets. Bear with me, back in a mo. Okay folks, what you're seeing now is the screen of a fibre optic boroscope. Okay, and what we do is, if we put the pilot jet near that, you can see right into the pilot jet. And you can see that that one is pretty good. It's very difficult to see. You can just see brass reflection there. You can see that that one's reasonably clean. I'll turn it round so you can see it from the other end. That's the inside of a pilot jet. As you can see, that one is clean. There you go, you can see the brass. It's lovely and shiny in there. There's no corrosion, no muck. Okay, there you go. Right, so I just back out a bit. Right, so when we've got these pilot jets and we've got them to a point where they're absolutely spotlessly clean, we're going to pop these carbies back together, and then I'm going to check the float levels, and then we're going to see if we can get this little beastie running. Right, okay folks, back in a mo. Hello again. Now then, as you can see, we've got jets and floats back. I just wanted to give you a quick rundown on checking float height. As you can see, I'll just zoom out so you can see better. There we go. We've got all 4 cleaned up and really nearly ready to go. There was a problem with the pilot jets. I'm just hoping we've got it. I'm hoping we've cured it. The jets seem clear now. There's no detritus, no muck, no crap in there, so we'll just see what happens. Right, floats. These floats have to be set at a specific height. You can see there as I roll the carbs forward on the bench. The floats are all free to move. Right, so what we need to do is we need to measure the height of the float. I'll just zoom you in so you get a better view. Right. There's a good float, look. Right. Height of the float. Right, these floats have got a spring in them, in the needle jet at the back here. Okay, so if you compress that spring like that, okay, that's not an indication of the true float height. The true float height should be, just roll it forward, hang on, back in shot, there we go. The true float height should be when you roll the carburettors back on the bench and it just settles like that. Okay. If that spring is compressed, that's not the true height. That point there is the true height. Okay, once you've got your carburettors in that position, using a measuring tool, you measure from the gasket face to, well, actually it's the bottom of the float, but we'll call it the top because the carburettors are inverted, to the top of the float. So in this case it's round about 10 mil. I mean, I normally use vernier calipers to measure this, but it's a right faff. You have to clamp the carburettors down and hold them nice and steady while you take the measurements. But that, you know, it says in the book 9 to 13 millimeters for this. So if you're anywhere in that range, you know you're on for a good one. That's a good one. That one's about right there. Look, you see that? Okay, it's between 9 and 13 millimeters, and as long as they're all reasonably the same, you've got it cracked. Now there is a more accurate way of measuring float height. Once the carburettors are assembled, there is a mark on the carburettor body. When I find it, there it is. Okay, I'll just see if I can get this in shot and show you. On the carburettor body, there is a mark. That mark there is the height of should be the height of the fluid, petrol, inside the float chamber. So what you do is you connect a pipe to the bottom of your float chamber there, okay, and undo the drain screw, hold the pipe up, and the fluid then should come out of the pipe and be at that level. If it's not, then your float's at the wrong height. The only problem with measuring the float height that way is, well, it's a right faff, innit? Because you've got to clean your carbs, put them back on, get petrol flowing in through the carburettors, connect your pipe to the bottom of the float chamber, hold it up, undo the screw, make sure it's right. If it's not right, then you've got to take them all to bits and set them. So I don't know, I prefer this way with ruler. It's just a lot easier. Right, how do you adjust the height of the float? Right, if we zoom in again, well, we're doing a lot of zooming today. There we go. If we zoom in again, you'll see there, I can get that in shot. It's not working, is it? Hang on, there we go. You'll see there, that metal tang on that float pushes on the needle to close it as the float height increases. So you adjust it by carefully bending that metal tang in whichever direction you need to get the float height correct. And that's about it, really. It's reasonably straightforward. It's not rocket science. But again, it can be a bit fiddly, so if you're a bit unsure about carbies and how to adjust these things and how to set them up, then leave it to somebody that knows how to do it, because you can end up in a right pickle. But anyway, that's a quick rundown of what I'm up to. Let's come you back out again so you can see the scores on the doors. There we go. So, next task, we're going to put all these float chambers back on, put the bits and pieces back together, and stick them back on the bike, and see if we've solved the problem. Because she was running very rough, and I can't understand why, because that's the second time these have been cleaned out. The only thing I can think is that I've got some detritus in the pipework or in the fuel pump when I've assembled it, and it's blown it through into these pilot jets. Anyway, onward and upward. See you in a bit.